What's up, everybody?
There I am.
Oh, there you are.
I was just,
Surprise.
oop. Good morning or afternoon. Is it
Good
later? It's later where you are.
good after morning. It is later where I am. It is noon, I think.
Yeah, I just woke up. I've got my tea, but I'm
Oh.
I'm feeling I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great.
What tea are you drinking? This is important.
Every morning I drink Tazo Wild Sweet Orange, and I have since I was probably 18. I started drinking it in college, and I drink it
Wow.
almost every morning.
Wow. That's kind of like beautiful to have such a
I'm
habit.
kind of I'm kind of beautiful, but I don't know it. Like crazy.
Wow. You're insecure, don't know what
Do you
for.
That song was written. A lot of people don't know this, but even though I was 14 or 13 or 14 when that came out, it actually was written about me.
I was gonna
A lot
ask,
of people
it
don't know
seems like that song was written about you. What Makes You Beautiful by
that. And it's
the
crazy because
greatest band
like
ever.
I didn't listen to One Direction as a teenager, and I think that's why they were like, she's different. She she's different.
she's
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 one of the.
not she's not falling for it. I did listen to One Direction as a teenager and as an adult, as a late
They're great.
teenager.
They're great. I was a fool for missing the boat, and now I'm retroactively every day I fall deeper in love with Harry Styles as punishment for not listening to them as a teenager.
Honestly, I envy you for being able to go back and experience everything for the first time. So that's really
Do you
beautiful
have a
and
go-to
powerful.
tea? Do you have a go-to tea brand?
Not a go-to tea. Well, I guess it's a tea brand. In Nashville, there are all these farmers markets, and there is like a Siraj tea company that I buy an orange jasmine tea with a touch of
Mm.
caffeine. Um, and it's so good. It's my daily driver. I can't really have coffee because of anxiety. Um,
Mm.
and so here we are. Um,
We love.
I love that we're just chatting, talking about tea. Hello, welcome everybody to the
Welcome to
live.
the chat. Welcome to Tea Time with Joy and Jensen.
Welcome to my private FaceTime with the Jensen. We're just hanging out.
I've had that experience so much during the pandemic. Back in I think it was back in March, this amazing songwriter named Maisie Peters heard Wolves and became a fan and a friend. And the first time we FaceTimed was 6 months later when we did an Instagram live together. It was the first time we ever spoke face to face, and it was in front of a couple hundred people. I was like, okay, yeah,
That's incredible. That's honestly how it works in this job, in this industry. Speaking of you being an incredible songwriter, I I have been I've been losing my mind for the past however many months because I feel like I'm just gonna we're gonna go into the show portion of the evening, okay, ladies and gents, buckle up. Uh, so when I first heard Wolves by Jensen McRae, I was ruined forever. I think I cried for an hour afterwards and just listened to it on repeat. And then I showed it to my girlfriend, and then we just fell in love with your music and just who you are, and just you slap. Truly, I just I am so grateful to exist as an artist in this at the same time as you. I really, really do mean that because I think that you are making stuff that is going to last a very long time. So
Thank
congrats.
you so much. That's so nice.
Congrats on being good at your job. Please
Thank you.
tell YouTube everything about you. Tell us about Wolves. Tell us about your music, what you do. Tell us how you write such good songs. Ready to go. Spill your secrets.
So I am 23 and I'm from Los Angeles. And I went to, this is the most abridged version. I went to the Thornton School of Music at USC and I studied popular music there with an emphasis in songwriting. And I met my current team in the fall of my senior year, my producer, my manager, the squad. And they helped me to make the album that I made that will be coming out later this year if all goes according to plan. And Wolves was written sort of like halfway through the album creation process. Um, I wrote the guitar part and then I started writing these other lyrics on top of it. I have this thing that I do sometimes where I go to the Wikipedia unusual articles database and just start writing about like a weird history fact because
Sick.
that's normal behavior. That's functional behavior.
Seems
And
like
so
it.
I was doing that. And Rocky, my producer, was like, that melody's great, but I don't know about those lyrics. I feel like they're not like people aren't gonna like relate to them because it was just like about like I think it was literally about a tombstone in the middle of a movie theater parking lot, if I remember correctly. He was like, not jumping out at me. And I was like, you're crazy, but okay. And I was like, well, what should I write about over this guitar part? And he's like, well, me and my friends just watched the R. Kelly documentary and we spent a lot of time talking afterward about like how we just didn't realize how much women go through on a daily basis just to feel safe, and all the things that they do and all the things that they have to think about to like just move in the world and feel like not in danger. And I was like, I could definitely write about that. And then I
Yeah.
just wrote the first verse like really fast and he was like, keep doing that, do that again. And so we finished it, recorded a demo. The guitar on the final version is the demo guitar because we couldn't ever replicate the tone for whatever reason later, so we just used the
Yeah.
same guitar track. And yeah, I honestly forgot about it for a couple of months. I forgot I wrote it. I didn't wasn't sure if it was even good. And then when we were like putting together the track list, they were like, "Oh yeah, Wolves has got to be on there." I was like, "Oh yeah, Wolves." And then like once we started playing it for people, like for labels and for other industry people, that I mean, there was everyone kind of has a different favorite song on the album, but that one pretty consistently people were like, what is that? What is that? So I was like, oh, I guess the song is a lot better than I thought. And then, now obviously I feel like I'm much more aware of the context of why it is good. But I didn't know at the time. Like, I literally didn't know when I was writing it. I wasn't like, oh, I'm crushing this. I was like, this is fine. I have a journal entry being like, I'm not good at, like, literally from that day going, I'm not good at songwriting and I have imposter syndrome and they're going to fire me. Like, I literally thought like they were going to stop talking to me because it's so bad. And it was the day I wrote Wolves.
That is, that makes me sick. You
You just like,
actually,
it's true that artists are so bad. I mean, I would love to know an experience where you wrote a song where you weren't sure about it or you liked it, but you weren't obsessed with it, and then it ended up being a song that like changed your life. Because I feel like a lot of artists have that experience where, because like with my song White Boy, I knew that song was special when I wrote it. I didn't know that about Wolves. So I'd be
Mm.
curious to know if you've had a time where you knew for sure and you were right, or where you didn't know and it still happened.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. I think, man, I feel like it is every time I write a song and put it out and people like it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, no, as you were saying that, I was like, oh, I can totally relate because when I wrote my song Sunday, I just had like a bad day at work. Like someone didn't like the vocal I put on an acoustic version and I had to recut it and it made me sad. Uh, and so I like wrote Sunday. And it wasn't until like a lot of people listened to it and like I spent time like unpacking my own like personal experiences with like being queer and growing up in the church and like all this different stuff like that I realized, oh, I think this actually like might be about me like getting rid of all the like expectations I have and like or expectations that maybe were put on me growing up. And I think it was really cool to like we did a music video where it was like all queer Christian couples like who
Aww.
had to like yeah, they like learned to like redefine community after coming out because they like weren't allowed to like go back to their regular communities and I just like it was cool to like one realize that the deeper meaning of the art that I had created and then two sort of like steer the rest of the creative like direction in a way that sort of spoke to what the song was about, which I feel like you did and did with Wolves and like are continuing to do with the stuff that you release. I just I literally could spend the next 3 days talking about how great that song is. You should be so proud.
Proud. I'm very proud.
Hmm.
People ask me a lot of time, like, what's your favorite song you've ever written? And I feel like it changes, but pretty consistently, I am proud of myself for having written loves. I think especially because, like, I know so many survivors. I think a lot of people do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so to be able to like, and when they've heard it, they've like felt really seen by it. And so to be able to do that, and then also just even for people who I feel like a lot of women and female identifying people are in the boat that I'm in, which is like being constantly in danger, even if like you've never actually been victimized, like just
Yeah.
constantly being in danger and realizing after the fact how much danger you were actually in. And so really there's like not a single like female identifying person that I've ever met that was like that didn't get it immediately. Like there's been most men also get it pretty straight away and are like, oh, I'm sorry on behalf of every man. There's been a few men I'm not going to name names, but the song was played for one record executive who after it was over said, so what was that about? And I was like, gotta go.
Ooh.
But for the most part, yeah, people really get it. And so that's really, I mean, it's sad to like have people like sending me, stories in my DMs saying like explaining in detail, like these really traumatic things that have happened to them. But I'm also like really grateful that people trust me with that. And that as a result of hearing the song, they like know I'm on their side. That's great that that was transmitted.
Yeah, totally. And that's like, I think that just sort of speaks to, like, as I've gotten to know you, like, just the artist and the person you are, like, it is very clear that, like, you care about what you put out. You care about how what you put out is represented. I think that's really cool, and I think it's really special. Especially the day after the breaking news about Morgan Wallen. I think it's cool. I think it's I think it's dope that like it's really like I know I'm like showering you with compliments, but it's like sick to like to be like coming up with an artist that like actually wants to like I don't know, like you just like you were about the relationships and also about the music and the art and the timelessness of it. And I think that is both of those things are really valuable.
Well, it means
Um
a lot coming from you because I am so grateful to be in a cohort with you and in a class, in a crew, a squad. It's so weird. Like you don't really think about that. I don't think as a musician, like when you're really young and you're like, I want to be a musician when I grow up. You don't think about like you kind of come up with a group of people. Like every year, every couple of years, there's like a new kind of crop of people that really start to pop off, as it were. And I'm really excited that you're a part of the crew. Like that's great. Like first
yeah.
of all, just the fact that like your voice is so incredible. It is so beautiful and soothing and like rich and like your songwriting obviously is so special. And like I'm excited that like the world finally is like there can be two black women with a guitar, maybe three.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that's
ooh, we'll allow it in 2021. It's like, okay, thank you.
yeah, I that is honestly maybe the part that makes me foam at the mouth about like our collective careers, like because it just like growing up for us, it was Tracy Chapman, and
Mm-hmm.
now like hopefully, like as we come up and as we make art, like people can point to both me and you as like black women with guitars and Brittany Howard, and like I just feel like we're in a unique time where people are like, oh, we really we really need to like represent and pay and work with and hire black people. I don't
And
know.
it's interesting because like there's obviously like there's so much diversity to be had in that like amongst black women with guitars and like I think a couple years ago like I feel like I read an article in Pitchfork or something in like 2018 maybe that was like women in rock are having a moment and then they listed like 10 white women and I was like hmm. And like obviously I'm all about the sisterhood but I think that usually is how it goes, right? Like white women kind of go first whenever women get to do things and then like slowly like unfortunately I have to put myself in this category like the acceptable black women like I recognize the inherent privilege in being biracial, being lighter skinned, like being straight, being cisgender. Like I know that a part of my ability to like break some boundaries, cross over some like barriers is because like I know I make white people comfortable until I start talking. until I start talking about
No, like,
reparations and socialism, and then they get uncomfortable again. But like, I know that like, and so that's something that I'm trying to be really conscious of. And so like the people that I work with and the people that like I put in my videos, and like that's something that I really want to do going forward is like force people to to acknowledge the humanity of Black people who don't remind them of the one Black person in their class at their suburban high school. Like that's really important.
yeah, I mean, that is everything. Because I just like, I think about like everything that happened over the past summer with like the George Floyd protests and us like actually living through one of the biggest civil rights moments in Amen. Um, it's just like I think that representation like is such an easy pathway forward to like to just rehumanizing Black Americans. Like I just to
Yeah.
me like I think that we have been like my girlfriend and I joke sometimes about like the Black Voices collections on like Netflix and stuff because it's like The Help and 12 Years a Slave and
Yeah.
like it is not pictures like of like it's not it's not a picture of your family, it's not a picture of my family. Like it's starting the way art is being put out is starting to sort of lag behind like Black culture and not starting to has always lagged behind Black culture. But I do
Do you see
think
the movie, The Photograph
yes,
with Lakeith Stanfield's right? That to me, I was like, I need 1,000 more movies like that.
green light them all. It was amazing. It was amazing. Or like the 40-year-old version. I feel like the thesis of that movie was like just this Black queer comic just saying like we need to tell not sad stories about Black people. Like and that is it. And that is I mean, we make really sad music. So I don't know that we can like be the poster child for this movement.
I will say I have a happy song coming out kind of soon-ish. It's not announced yet, so I can't say like the title or the date or anything, but I do
Oh,
have in the pipeline
wow.
an upbeat, fun song. So I don't only make people cry.
Wow,
That's not
what's
my
it?
only occupation.
Wait, I'm so excited. And also text me when it's coming out so I can
For
be
sure.
ready emotionally. Like you can't tell them, but you should probably tell me.
Oh yeah, all the best friends gang gets the links.
Yes, the links. Wow. Okay, so you have an album coming out.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole. Here's the thing: everything's TBD. Everything is like is ambling towards being like the songs are written and recorded. It's like the mixing mastering process. The mix. Well, actually, it's all mixed. The mastering process is happening, and then we're like gaming out how that music is going to be released, when it's going to be released. All of the
Totally.
music that I have done is recorded and is going to be released by the end of 2021. That I can say with a pretty good degree of confidence. I said it last year and I wasn't as confident, but I'm much more confident that it's going to actually happen this year.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's just a lot of music. I have I've got one more collab that's coming very soon, and then I have my solo project that is also coming. That's on the way. Um, how much more do you have slated on the cow?
Here's the thing about me. Um, Especially since the pandemic, I really don't leave this room, which is my
She,
studio. So my plan is to put out a lot more music, I think. I have a single coming out at the end of the month. And then hopefully volume two of In Defense of My Own Happiness will come out before summer. Um, and then after that, I've started working on a project about like my parents because they've been married forever and I am in a long-term relationship. And just those parallels, because my parents are straight and I be not straight. And my parents, they like grew up during the like this civil war in Nigeria, and I did not like, but I grew up during some like I just feel like it's going to be a cool thing to explore. So
yeah,
I'm working on that. Um,
that's gonna be like a short film or a documentary of some kind.
yeah, I think I'm gonna do like I'm gonna go home when it's safe. My mom's a nurse and works with COVID patients, so I can't visit her until it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And I am gonna just like take a camera and just have my parents tell me the entire story of like how they met, where they're from. They have like really cool stories about like growing up in Nigeria and like their respective towns and like sad stuff about like what they witnessed during the Civil War, but also just like I feel like my parents are like the American dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I think that sometimes, and I'm obsessed with like white rock dudes like Bruce
Mm.
Springsteen, Tom Petty. And so I'm gonna just like record them talking about everything and then I'm gonna come back here and make sort of like a like a sort of like 80s like I don't know, like here's a little ditty about Jack and Diane type album about what it means to like
Yeah.
love and be loved. And I am really excited.
That sounds awesome. I'm very excited to see how that comes to fruition, and I hope that you can go see your mom sooner rather than later. I feel like I see a universe not where it's like over, but like where we can live sort of normally. Like I keep reading articles that are like very hopeless and scary, but then I read ones and I'm like, no, it's actually gonna be fine by the end of this year, like more or less.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I
mainly
think
just because like they're developed like they're adapting the vaccines to the new variant. Not to just turn this into COVID talk, but they are adapting the
but
vaccines to the
let's.
new variants and for the new variants, and they're developing treatments and like all the vaccines prevent hospitalization in everyone. So I'm like, okay, so it's gonna get to a point where it's like you don't want to get it, but if you do, you're not gonna die,
Yes.
and that's fine.
Yeah, I do think we're on our way out, you know? Like I feel like maybe during Christmas ish or like the fall, I was like, this could be the rest of our lives. We don't know. But I think with the development of the vaccine and like just an administration that's taking it a skosh more seriously.
Yeah, we're
Um,
getting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm no Biden super fan, but I do feel a good degree of relief. I mean, definitely not on his foreign policy. It's kind of, I kind of have to, even though this is, I don't like checking out and like, I know I should engage. I have to kind of tune out on the foreign policy because it's so upsetting.
yeah.
But at least domestically, I know he's basically trying to take care of the American people. So that is like, at least on this very narrow specific issue.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, that and climate change, I do feel like they're trying. Although they did issue 30 new oil drilling permits. You know, men contain multitudes.
Men contain both. I can't. I'm not a heterosexual. I've never been close to one. I've never met a man.
All you've never seen a man before,
Yeah, never.
dude. Men. Oh wow. Oh wow, men.
I've
They
heard a
just
lot about them.
they be doing. They say things, and I'm just like, who raised you? And that is what Wolves is about.
but
Wolves is just men question mark, and then the vomiting emoji.
that like honest to God though, yeah. Yeah, just like if I were to like have a thesis statement about what Wolves is about, that would probably be it.
I do love some men. I love my dad. I love my brothers. I
Okay.
love the men that I work with, like on my team. Like those men are great. I'm like, oh, that's what it happens when it goes good.
Yeah.
And then like 90% of the other men I meet, I'm like, nope. No, go away, get away from me,
Yeah.
please. No.
Yeah. It'd be tough. We
But
are
how
rooting for you men, just so you know.
we are rooting for men to make we want them to have the biggest comeback of the century we want them to have the biggest comeback of human history.
But
We
yeah,
want them to be like the Chicago Cubs and just like after a 100-year drought, just like come out big and win the
exactly.
World Series. Or we're the Cleveland Cavaliers,
Yeah.
just winning the only championship for the whole team. But then LeBron left, so
Mm.
I'm getting really off track. How is sisterhood important to you? That's a fun question.
Really important. Yeah, no, I
Like,
simply,
how is the network of women in your life, and like how does it impact your life and day to day?
yeah, I mean, I'm just like an equal opportunist. I kind of think that I'm for everybody, unless
Yeah.
they have very much proven not to be for me. And so when it comes to like, I just like, I want women to win. I like especially women producers. Like I produce a lot of my stuff.
Yes.
And I think there's something nurturing about like the ear and the like just there's women are dope, and I do feel like the next wave or the like whatever the new sound is, whatever is gonna make A&Rs lose their mind, like is like it's gonna come from a woman producer, like because that's kind of the only thing that's left. Like that is the only like musical composition voice that hasn't really been given this space in like
Yeah, and like
popular
obviously
music.
like the industry losing Sophie was like this huge void because like she was such a like as a trans woman especially like she was I feel I'm convinced she was tapped into just like the deepest creative vibrations and like was able to bring something that no one else could have.
Yeah.
And like I think women and trans women are the future because of that. Because like there's this book that I really like by Chuck Klosterman called But What If We're Wrong? And it's about partly about like science and how like we could have really incorrect views on science that's like as wrong as people used to think gravity worked like a few hundred years ago. But the other thing it talks about is like culturally like the art that we value, like usually the art that we value from the past was it's often not celebrated in its time. Like sometimes we value things that were popular, but a lot of times popular things become forgotten, and the things that are actually remembered and valued are the things that weren't properly valued in their time. And so something that Chuck Klosterman points out is like it's very likely like the most representative and important artists of our lifetimes is like a queer Native American poet who like
Ooh,
is not being given like the shine that they deserve because our society is refusing to value those kinds of voices. And so like it's possible that like what's his name, like Philip Roth or whatever, is going to be remembered as like super important. And like he's obviously a good writer, but it's like it's more likely that like there's someone that we've never heard of that was like maligned by society is then in 100 years or 200 years that generation is going to be like, oh, that person really got it, but
yeah.
we couldn't see it as a culture.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's like it's just it because like they not in the most respectful of ways they maybe are the like wallflowers of culture, you know what I mean, like just the least advocated for, often the least often invited to participate, like I just but the observation that comes from like unfortunate like from our mistake of like putting our trans brothers and sisters and native brothers and sisters on the fringes of society is like it is amazing art, and like
When people
damn.
talk about representation, they often are like they're talking about a white woman or a black man. Like that's a lot of times when they're like diversity panel,
Yeah.
it's that. And so like being like anything that deviates from like really narrow conceptions of diversity just it makes people uncomfortable. And like I feel like we're going through a really wonderful opportunity of growth right now where because of the way social media works, we're like forcing people to look at us. We're like you can't look away anymore. You
Yeah.
can't. And so I think again like the indigenous community in the very diverse indigenous community in the US is like going to have they have more roadblocks ahead of them, and like there's going to be continued like disrespect, unfortunately, just as there's continued disrespect for the black community and all the brown and queer communities. But like I think we're like pushing, we're just forcing a lot. And like I'm really into astrology, and we're in like a moment of like real progressive change,
Hmm.
like just astrologically. And so I'm excited about we've already seen it this year with like the stock market exploding.
Yeah.
And so I think like this we're on the eve of like a really exciting time in America if we commit and we pay attention to everything that's been happening.
Wow. I honest to God feel like I could talk to you for days about like everything. um
We got to let the people see the video.
I know the video. Let's talk about the song. I won't be long because apparently we don't have that long. But I I wrote this song one morning on my porch. I wake up every day, work out, meditate, smoke pot. And I usually sometimes meditate to like sitar music. And one day during my silent meditation, I felt like my brain was sort of like filling in like a sitar type track and melody, and I came up with the guitar melody for this song, and then I came upstairs and wrote the lyrics, and you, Jensen, were the first person to come to mind to like write the second verse and just absolutely smash it.
Thank you.
And thank you, really. Um, and so, yeah, we won't hold you any longer. Thank you guys for joining us for the chat. In like a minute, I think the video is gonna start, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. It's a lot of feels.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having me, Joy.
Jansen. Of course, so fun. Bye.
Bye.